Hi, awesome and amazing patriots. It's Jordan Brace again. Tonight I want to further discuss the election interference, and the fallout. Let's discuss the cases falling apart against President Trump as well. Let's get started. This election will certainly come down to President Trump and Joe Biden. Or will it? Will it be Joe Biden, or will they sneak in another candidate at the last minute? Joe Biden is an embarrassment, but people still vote for him, hoping they don't have to pay for their own bills. They don't want to pay for their student loans. They want government-paid-for abortions and basically think that they're owed a living. Let's look at that, though. Nothing is free, is it? So although Joe Biden wants to forgive student loans, it's all of you, the taxpayers, that are funding the bill. Let's look at benefits. Illegals crossing our borders are getting more benefits than Americans. Our country is broke. So do you really think that your free ride on student loans will last? We have record high inflation, record crime, open borders, and in the meantime, Biden and his family keep laundering money, getting away with their crimes, and getting richer, as most people just struggle with the basic necessities like gas and feeding their families. Taxes and interest rates are through the roof. This crooked administration tells you what kind of stove you can cook on, what kind of car you can drive. And they take your hard-earned taxes to support over 10 million illegals and thousands more crossing our borders every single day. The American people are finally getting fed up. So look at it this way. Student loans may be paid for, but they are being paid for with your tax dollars. And interest rates are so high that you can forget about buying a house. Biden refuses to close the borders, and our economy will crash worse than the Great Depression. We cannot afford to support millions of illegals, and we shouldn't have to. The liberals keep screaming, President Trump is taking our democracy. But we don't even live in a democracy. We live in a constitutional republic. As it states in the Pledge of Allegiance, to the republic for which it stands, not to the democracy for which it stands. President Trump is not taking anything away. In fact, he's doing the exact opposite. We have constitutional rights that our forefathers fought and died to preserve, and the Dems are trying to take those rights away from us. Biden and Harris have lawless border policies, and this is not just a border crisis. This is a national catastrophe. An Islamic terrorist by the name of Momsum Samadov, who was released from prison after 12 years for terrorism, crossed our border, as many terrorists have with the help of Biden because of his open border policies, and threatened our country on national television. Take a look at this important video.
Not smart enough to know who I am, but soon you're gonna know who I am. Very easy.
Wow, very easy. The entitlement.
No, believe me, I'm much better than that.
The entitlement, guys. Wow.
We'll see soon.
Among those streaming over the border, besides the 150 on the terrorist watch list, an estimated 25,000 military-age men from communist China have flooded into the country. We need to vote the Dems out in November, put President Trump back in the White House, and stop putting illegals before our hero veterans and all Americans. Stop putting illegals in schools, care homes, apartment complexes, daycare centers, and in the meantime, kicking out Americans to make room for them while you pay for the privilege. They are terrified of when President Trump gets back into the White House and starts deporting illegals, because then they lose their added seats to Congress and their millions of future Democratic voters. President Trump is our only hope to take our country back and end the chaos. President Trump has been lied to, lied about, and betrayed. One example is Nikki Haley. This woman is someone that President Trump supported and helped further her career. Nikki Haley said this: I will not run in 2024 if President Trump is. Let's take a look.
I would not run if President Trump ran.
Liberal billionaires like Reid Hoffman apparently got her to change her mind. He is one of many of these billionaires that are funding Nikki Haley's campaign so they can carry on their woke agenda. Nikki Haley is a rhino, and if you want 4 more years of Biden's open door policies, high taxes, high interest rates, inflation, and losing your Social Security, then by all means, vote for Nikki Haley. But you might as well vote for Joe Biden because it's the same thing. Nikki Haley is actually hoping that President Trump will be prosecuted for the crimes he never even committed so she can possibly win the election. That will never happen. The people have spoken and they are tired of the Joe Bidens and Nikki Haley's of the world destroying our country. We want President Trump back in office, the people's president that puts America first. Joe Biden puts America last, and Nikki Haley would do the same. Let's look at the court cases against President Trump. Number 1, the state of New York against President Trump. Letitia James and Judge Engoron are claiming that President Trump, his children, and his companies defrauded lenders, insurers, and other entities, all of whom were paid in full. Letitia James and Judge Engoron are Soros-paid, liberal attention seekers that are just trying to use President Trump as their target. Letitia James said, "No one, my friend, is above the law." She is calling for over $370 million to be paid from President Trump and to issue a lifetime ban from the real estate industry in New York against him. After the recent trial, Judge Engoron had him pay over $363.9 million plus $100 million in interest and barred him from New York real estate for 3 years. President Trump has promised to appeal this ridiculous ruling. So, if no one is above the law, how come Miss James has continually received massive payments from George Soros? Reports say that in 2021, Letitia James received one loan payment of $40,000 from George Soros. Let's figure out how much more he's paid her, shall we? Miss James' salary is $165,000 annually. So, how is it that she is personally worth $15 million? Let's demand an audit of her tax returns and those of Judge Engoron as well. The property that they are referring to in the charges is President Trump's oceanfront Mar-a-Lago estate. President Trump valued it at $739 million, while Letitia James claims it's worth 10% of that. So $73 million. I visited Mar-a-Lago just a few months ago. There's no way that property is only worth $73 million when there are more expensive properties on the waterfront that are not half the size of President Trump's. This is a liberal witch hunt. How did President Trump defraud anyone when all the loans were paid in full? Judge Engoron allowed President Trump's accounting experts to testify, but then refused to allow the testimony to be considered in making his decision. Judge Engoron stated, "Pay anyone $1 million and they will say what you want them to say." This judge already had President Trump tried and found him guilty before the trial even began. Criminal case number 1. The state of Georgia DA Fani Willis against President Trump. The false charges are as follows: unlawfully trying to change the outcome of an election, and they are actually using the state's RICO law, which is used in organized crime. All President Trump was trying to do was have the votes recounted and find missing votes that suddenly disappeared overnight. He was not trying to change the outcome of an election. He was trying to maintain a fair and honest election. Number 2, making false statements in writings. Saying that he believes he won the election when he was clearly winning before they stopped counting votes and many other votes went missing is doing nothing but exercising your First Amendment rights to free speech. Number 3, impersonating a public officer, which is ridiculous, and he did no such thing. Number 4, filing false documents. What false documents did he file exactly? He didn't. Number 5, influencing witnesses. Never happened. Number 6, conspiracy to defraud the state. Asking to find missing votes is not being guilty of a conspiracy or trying to defraud the state. And number 7, perjury. Again, Speaking his opinion and stating the truth is not perjury. January 2021, Trump participated in a conference call with Georgia's Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, his staff, and Trump's campaign staff to request at least a partial audit of what they believe to be approximately 100,000 votes that they were due. When Raffensperger did not want to do the audit, Trump said, "Look, all I want to do is this. I want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have." President Trump was not requesting the expense of a full state audit, as he really only needed the 11,780. None of this was meant to defraud or change the election. Again, he just wanted a fair audit of the election. Now let's take a further look at Fani Willis, the Georgia DA, on the case. She hired her lover, Nathan Wade, at $250 an hour to prosecute the case when he has never even tried a felony case before. Nathan Wade personally met with Biden's counsel and colluded with them to prosecute President Trump for crimes he has not committed. Fani Willis and Nathan Wade went on romantic trips using his exorbitant taxpayer-funded salary of $653,881 to pay for these trips. Fani Willis claims she reimbursed him with cash. However, she has no record of withdrawing any cash, nor does Nathan Wade have any records of depositing said cash. Fani claims she keeps piles of cash in her home, yet it seems she has never shown she withdrew any cash to replace the $1,000 she allegedly gave to Nathan Wade. Fani Willis herself is worth $8 million. Her salary per year is $129,722.97. That is 97.7% higher than the average salary for that position. It has been proven that Fani Willis has also been taking money from George Soros. Fani Willis also established a questionable nonprofit called Love for Carla that was established in 2015 and is supposed to bring awareness to the disease sickle cell anemia. To date, this charity has taken in millions of dollars and there is no proof of any work having been done. I would love to see the tax returns for Fani Willis, Nathan Wade, and the nonprofit Love for Carla. When the inappropriate romantic relationship between Fani Willis and her employee, Nathan Wade, was exposed, Governor Kemp refused to take her off the case or launch an investigation. Therefore, the Georgia Republicans launched a Senate investigation into Fani Willis, and lawmakers are calling for her impeachment. The Georgia Senate even formed a special committee to investigate Fani Willis in a bipartisan move. The committee has been given the authority to administer oaths and issue subpoenas for testimony in the case. In my opinion, Fani Willis and Nathan Wade should be disbarred, prosecuted, and all the charges against President Trump should be dropped. This investigation should continue inside the White House to expose the collusion between Nathan Wade and the Biden legal team. This case is falling apart because there are false charges against President Trump in order to influence the election. Criminal case number 2. Washington, D.C. versus President Trump. These charges are as follows: conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, obstruction of an attempt to obstruct an official proceeding, and conspiracy against rights. None of those things are true. None of those things happened. President Trump just wanted a fair election. U.S. Attorney Merrick Garland has long been a part of the opposition party to President Trump and appointed Special Prosecutor Jack Smith, who has a questionable professional reputation. How ironic that all of the charges against President Trump are being brought by attorneys and prosecutors who are all Democrats except for Jack Smith, who is a registered independent. The final case is the civil case of E. Jean Carroll against President Trump. Now, let's look at a coincidence. Reid Hoffman has paid for all of Miss Carroll's legal fees, and remember, he's also the same billionaire funding Nikki Haley's campaign against President Trump. E. Jean Carroll is claiming that she wore a Donna Karan coat dress that had not only not been designed yet, but wasn't even produced in 1996. Miss Carroll also claimed that he screamed MAGA during the alleged incident. And the MAGA movement didn't even start until the year 2015, the year before President Trump was elected. E. Jean Carroll claimed to have DNA on her dress, but yet her attorneys refused to allow President Trump's DNA sample to be admitted to clear his name. Funny. Oh, and here's a coincidence. This woman has actually accused 7 different men of sexual assault. President Trump's attorney, Alina Habba, was not allowed to introduce any evidence to support his defense. Liberal Judge Lewis Kaplan worked with E. Jean Carroll's attorney, Roberta Kaplan, and although they are not related, they did work at the same law firm, and that was never disclosed. This verdict should immediately be overturned by the Supreme Court. Now let's tie it all together. The E. Jean Carroll case and all these other cases and allegations were brought after November 15th, 2022, when President Trump announced he will be running for president again. Had President Trump ignored the corruption and walked away, none of these false charges would have been brought against him. All of this is election interference meant to keep President Trump out of the White House and Democrats in control of the executive branch. Keep in mind, this can happen to any of us, and if they are allowed to get away with it, it will happen again in 4 years. The only chance we have, the final chance we have to take our country back, lies in the strength of President Trump. His love for our country, his love for all of us, will carry us through, and it will make our country strong again, safe again, and make America great again. Thank you for watching and listening, awesome and amazing patriots. I hope you join me in supporting and voting for President Trump in November, even though I can't vote yet. I'm counting on you, Gen Z. I'm counting on you all. Please like and subscribe to help my channel grow and spread the truth. Good night. I love and appreciate you all.